And now it's time for Insights.
Stephen Mithen is a scientist who wrote the book The Prehistory of the Mind, in which he put forth his idea that the mind is like a jackknife with individual tools for individual actions. And he also put forth this really wonderful idea that the brain in development through history of evolution has gone through areas of connecting parts of the brain and segregating them off into individual components and then reconnecting them together again and building complexity this way. As far as I can tell, this is the basic mechanism of building complexity. Now, if you have evolution in species, you may have an organism that is the dominant species. And you may have a small splinter group that came off of this group. It's never dominant in this area. It goes off to find its own area, perhaps. Now, if it evolves into another species that's drastically different than the original, you're not likely to see the change in the very area in which the originals were. They're not going to be there. You have to move where you're digging. But regardless, fairly quickly in geological time, it could turn into this other species. Now, this other species could come right back into the original territory. Now, you don't have a more diverse species now. You have more than one species. You have a more complex ecosystem. You're building complexity of your ecosystem. Different niches are being filled. I think this is true of human minds. I think this is true of cities. It seems to be a basic mechanism of how things work. Now, I've heard people talk about a single world culture, and I think that that would be stagnation. I think that if we were all the same culture-wise, we would completely stagnate. I think that we need times of cohesion where we come together and swap ideas, and then times where we splinter off into different groupings again. And the important thing is that different pieces come apart with each split. We produce different organizations than there were originally. If we come together and split off in the same groups back and forth, we're not producing any complexity. The evidence shows that the planet Earth has had several different groups of continents. I think most people know of Pangaea and possibly Gondwanaland. But Pangaea, being the single continent on the planet Earth, was actually composed of other continents before it became Pangaea and then split off into other continents with different pieces. Now, this produced different types of environments. And this is the kind of splitting that I'm talking about, different kinds of complexity. So it's not just a matter of a critical mass of neurons or a critical mass of processing power in a computer. It's not just a matter of making the right connections. It's about how it's segregated and how it's brought back together in the system. I think if someone could utilize this properly, we could have artificial intelligence. But it'll take some time. Later.